I'm a 35-year-old woman who's been silently observing this space for a while, never feeling compelled to share until now. My family has pushed me to my breaking point, and I need perspective because no matter what I do, I'm always cast as the bad guy. This ongoing family drama has drained me emotionally and mentally, with no resolution in sight. I've built my career from scratch and now work as a mid-level manager at a major tech firm in Silicon Valley. Everything I own, my home, car, and savings, is the result of countless late nights and hard work. You wouldn't believe the toxic family dynamics I've had to overcome to get here. Let me provide some context about my family's history. Since turning 18, I've been entirely self-reliant, financially, emotionally, and intellectually. My upbringing, to put it mildly, was far from ideal. We were a middle-class family in a Boston suburb, the picture of the perfect American household. We lived in a nice area with good schools. My mom worked part-time as a kindergarten teacher, and my dad was in the insurance business. But beneath that polished facade was an unspoken rule that shaped my childhood. I was the responsible one, the role model, expected to set the standard, while my younger brother, whom I'll call Ryan, now 27, could do no wrong. The disparities were glaring from early on. I vividly recall when I was 16 and Ryan was 8. I got a B+ on a chemistry exam, and my parents grounded me for a month, claiming I was squandering my potential. That same month, Ryan was caught stealing from Dad's wallet for the 3rd time, and they brushed it off as a phase. This wasn't a one-off. It was a pattern. Every mistake Ryan made, and there were plenty, was excused. "He'll grow out of it," Mom would say with a dismissive gesture, or "he's just sensitive," meaning let's ignore it and hope he sorts himself out. Meanwhile, any misstep from me was catastrophic. The pressure was suffocating. "Why aren't you pushing harder? You're supposed to be an example for Ryan. He looks up to you." I juggled part-time work at a cafe, volunteered at the local library, took AP courses, and obsessed over my GPA for college applications. Ryan, on the other hand, skipped school and spent hours gaming in the basement. Yet I was the one who needed to do better. Straight A's? Mom would ask why I didn't get an A+ in physics. When I was named valedictorian, her first comment was, "I hope this doesn't make Ryan feel bad about his grades." This dynamic persisted into adulthood. Ryan barely passed high school and they'd say, "At least you're trying, sweetie. Not everyone's meant for academics." Things only worsened as the stakes grew. Ryan dropped out of community college after one semester, claiming it was too much pressure. My parents covered his rent for a gap year that stretched into 5 years of self-discovery. Meanwhile, I worked 2 jobs, one at a coffee shop, another waiting tables, to afford state college. I still remember moving out at 18, renting a tiny apartment with a roommate using savings from my part-time gigs. When I told Dad I was leaving, he said, "You'd have to pay rent to stay here anyway." Yet Ryan lived at home until 25, rent-free, with an allowance because job hunting was too stressful. They never offered me a dime for college or living expenses, not that I expected it, but the contrast stung. I worked tirelessly, took out student loans, and survived on instant noodles more times than I care to admit. Ryan, meanwhile, bounced between dead-end jobs, always blaming someone else, the boss had it in for me, or the company's vibe didn't suit me. My parents enabled this, excusing his failures at every turn. I graduated college with honors, landed an entry-level tech job, and climbed the ladder through long hours and additional certifications. They never helped, and I never asked. But they had no qualms asking me to bail Ryan out whenever he needed a little boost. Fast forward to last week when Mom called, a rare event, as she only contacts me when she wants something. Her calls start with forced pleasantries, a clear setup for the real ask. This time was no different. "How's your job? Still at that tech place? Eating okay?" It was so out of character I knew trouble was brewing. She doesn't care about my diet or know my company's name, despite my 5 years there. She even asked about my boyfriend, I've been single since my engagement ended, partly due to Ryan's meddling. And my apartment, I've owned a house for 2 years. Each question was a reminder of how little she knows me. Then she dropped the bomb. Ryan was in trouble again, this time with a $40,000 debt, not from student loans or credit cards, but from shady lenders now demanding repayment. Her voice trembled, a tactic I recognized from years of manipulation. "You've done so well. You're the strong one. Ryan needs you. He's not like you. He's sensitive." I stared out my window at the neighborhood I'd worked so hard to afford, stunned. $40,000? How does someone rack up that kind of debt? When I pressed for details, Mom brushed it off. "That's not important now. He's your brother. Family supports family." That phrase, family supports family, has been their mantra, used to guilt me into covering Ryan's failed crypto ventures, letting him crash at my place after his girlfriend kicked him out, or cleaning up his messes. Each time I swallowed my frustration, hoping for their approval, but $40,000 was a line I couldn't cross. It wasn't just a loan, it was my safety net, my future. For the first time, I said no, firmly stating I couldn't rescue Ryan from his own chaos. Mom's tone shifted instantly from pleading to furious. "You're selfish!" she screamed. "After all we've done, this is how you repay us? You're abandoning your family!" She even implied I'd be responsible if Ryan got hurt, claiming he owed dangerous people. The manipulation was so blatant it was almost laughable, but it wasn't funny. Blaming me for Ryan's choices was a step too far. I hung up, hands trembling, chest tight. Yet, amidst the guilt, there was relief. I'd finally stood my ground. Growing up in a dysfunctional family means guilt creeps in even when you know you're right. I couldn't shake the fear that I'd made a mistake, that maybe I was selfish, or that Ryan might suffer because of me. Logic tells me his actions aren't my responsibility, but that inner child craving parental approval keeps whispering, "What if?" I know this isn't over. My parents don't take no lightly, especially where Ryan's concerned. I'm bracing for what's next and could use advice as this unfolds. First update. Thank you for the supportive comments on my initial post. They meant more than I expected. The past week has been a whirlwind and not in a good way. I predicted. This wasn't the end, and I was right. After hanging up on Mom, the harassment escalated. It started with a barrage of guilt-laden texts, the usual fare. But then things took a darker turn. On Tuesday, my bank flagged suspicious activity. Someone tried accessing my account with my personal details, including my mom's maiden name, social security number, and the name of my childhood pet. The fraud team confirmed a large transfer. Attempt was blocked due to an unfamiliar IP address. Only Ryan could have that information. The betrayal stung. I immediately updated my passwords and security questions. Then my Aunt Clara, one of the few relatives I trust, called. She revealed my parents were spinning a tale to the family, painting me as a heartless, rich sister hoarding wealth while Ryan suffered. Clara didn't buy it and was shocked when I shared the bank fraud attempt. She also disclosed that Ryan had been borrowing from other relatives, spinning different stories each time. Medical bills to our grandma, a surefire investment to our cousin, a small business to our uncle. None added up. Then came Dad's email, his first direct contact since this began. It was cold and vaguely threatening. "Your choices make us question your place in this family. We supported your education and gave you every chance to succeed. Your success is thanks to us. If you keep abandoning Ryan, there will be consequences. Choose wisely." I laughed at the education claim. I'm still paying off student loans. But the threat was clear. Help Ryan or be ostracized. They don't realize I've been emotionally cut off for years. Their family loyalty only applies when I play their game. Ryan's girlfriend, or ex, it's unclear, texted me saying, "He's been acting erratically, talking about claiming what's his and teaching lessons." I'm installing security cameras this weekend and consulting a financial advisor to secure my accounts. I'm also considering a lawyer to explore options regarding the fraud attempt, not necessarily to press charges, but to understand my rights. I'm documenting every message and call, never imagining I'd need evidence against my own family. Paying the $40,000 isn't an option, even if I wanted to. Clara's revelations suggest Ryan's debts are far larger. This isn't about helping him. It's about breaking a toxic cycle. I'll update if things escalate, which seems likely. Second update. After the bank fraud attempt, I decided to confront Ryan in person. Last night, I visited his rundown apartment in a sketchy part of town. He answered the door, disheveled and smug, saying, "Took you long enough to show up." No apology for the fraud, no explanation for the $40,000 debt, just entitlement. When I asked about the bank hack, he casually admitted, "Mom and Dad said you'd cave if things got bad enough. I was just speeding it up." I noticed multiple phones and what looked like credit card statements with various names on his table. He hid them quickly, but my gut sank. This was bigger than my account. As I prepared to leave, my parents burst in, tipped off by Ryan's text. The ensuing argument was explosive. Dad called me selfish. Mom claimed they'd failed as parents because I was heartless. When I raised the fraud, they defended it. "He was desperate," Mom said. "What choice did he have when you refused to help?" Dad added, "People make mistakes when cornered." I couldn't believe it, excusing identity theft because it's family. I laid into them, recounting years of favoritism, paying for Ryan's failures while I scraped by, guilting me into bailing him out, manipulating my emotions. Ryan smirked, saying, "At least I'm not some stuck-up jerk who thinks she's above everyone." Mom nodded in agreement. I realized they'd never change. I played the recording of our conversation, watching their faces drop as they realized I had proof of their defense of fraud. "If my accounts are touched again, this goes to the police," I said, "and I'll press charges, Ryan." Mom accused me of threatening them. Dad called me manipulative. As I left, Dad grabbed my arm and said, "Walk out, and you're no longer part of this family." I replied, "That's a promise, not a threat," and walked away. At home, I blocked their numbers and sent an email to my extended family with screenshots of their threatening messages, a transcript of the recording, and evidence of the fraud attempt. I'm done being the scapegoat, Ryan's ATM, or keeper of their secrets. I'm researching restraining orders and enhancing my home security. Your comments gave me the strength to stand up for myself. I suspect this is my last update. Things are about to shift dramatically. Third update. A month after my last post, everything's changed. After the confrontation at Ryan's, I refused to hide the family's secrets. I went beyond the family. Email, posting on social media with evidence of Ryan's fraud attempt, his confession, and my parents' defense of it. I wasn't seeking revenge, just truth. The response was overwhelming. Within hours, others shared their stories. Ryan borrowed $5,000 from our cousin for a failed venture, convinced our aunt to co-sign a loan she's now stuck with, and was suspected of stealing our grandma's jewelry. His ex-roommate revealed Ryan used his identity to open credit cards, too ashamed to speak up earlier, believing no one would take him seriously against my parents' perfect son. The post reached Ryan's prospective employer, who passed on hiring him due to his financial misconduct. My parents' social standing crumbled. They'd built an image as devoted parents with a struggling son and an ungrateful daughter. Now, their church friends distanced themselves, and Dad's golf buddies suddenly had scheduling conflicts. Mom tried to claim I was lying, but the evidence, texts, recordings, bank records, was undeniable. Their carefully crafted facade collapsed. Ryan's current roommate saw the post and evicted him within a week. Turns out people don't want to live with a fraudster. Ryan's now juggling 3 jobs to pay his debts, his credit ruined. My parents have gone quiet on social media. no longer posting about family values or ungrateful kids. For me, life's never been better. I got the promotion I applied for, and I'm dating someone who respects boundaries. The few relatives I still talk to say my parents no longer mention me, no more guilt trips or manipulation. To anyone dealing with toxic family, sometimes letting the truth speak is more powerful than legal action. My family feared exposure more than lawsuits. By speaking out, I broke free from their control and empowered others to stand up. Thank you for following my journey and offering support. I'm finally free, building a chosen family that values honesty and accountability. This is my final update. I'm ready to start a new chapter, unburdened by guilt, lies, or the weight of cleaning up others' messes. No courtroom could feel this good.